Miscommunication that made me feel old. I'm 44 years old and have always loved history and antiques. There is something about holding or touching an antique and wondering about the people or person that touched it when it was new that just really intrigues me. I was in a thrift shop and I found a piece of costume jewelry from the 1920s. I felt the price they were asking was way too little considering it really was from the 1920s and not a reproduction. I casually mentioned this to the clerk behind the counter who happened to be a young lady around the age of 16. I said something along the lines of, "This brooch was made in the 20s, it's worth a lot more than $3.99. She had a very confused look on her face and slowly said okay. I just shrugged it off thinking she was just reacting to an annoying customer saying something should cost more than the asking price. I kept looking around and then about 10 minutes later I went up to the counter to pay for a coat I had found and to buy the brooch. Before I could ask again if she was sure they only wanted to charge $3.99, the brooch was worth closer to $75. She asked me why something made in the 20s would automatically be valuable. I was a bit confused but figured that it was due to her age. So I explained, antique items that were in good condition often held value and antique jewelry tends to be quite sought after. She rolled her eyes and said that she knew that. She just didn't understand why I thought that something made at most 5 years ago would be considered an antique. It took me longer than I want to admit to realize the issue. She thought the 20s meant 2020 and after, and I was talking about the 1920s. I felt old as hell that there was now a generation, working, that hears the 20s and doesn't immediately think about flapper dresses and their grandparents. They think about their 10th birthday. Anyone else have a funny moment that made them realize that they are now the antique?